Welcome once again to the Cow Report. I'm your host, Chuck Lee. And of course, as always, we're coming to you live from the beautiful L.E. Phillips Downtown Memorial Library, Fred. And of course, with me is my trusty sidekick and former Green Bay Packer, Fred Stafford. Welcome to the program.
Hello there.
Nice to see you again, Fred. And I'm glad to have you with us as always. And boy, Fred, we've got a lot to talk about, as usual.
Lots of things. Right.
It's amazing what the guy can talk about. And, of course, always with us, Fred, is we've got a beautiful staff in the back room there helping. We've got Roy Rogers Hoff, the engineer and helper and camera, and we've got Chris and Cliff Economaki, the Siamese twins of engineering.
Is that right?
Did I ever tell you the story about that?
Too often.
Okay. Well, I thought I'd just check, because I didn't know if I did or not. And as usual, Fred, the program is brought to you by the wonderful world of Flavin and the many fine Flavin products throughout the world, Fred. Produced right here in the Chippewa Valley.
Yes.
And number one, the masthead of the company is Flavin Pop. Now, if I ever sang the jingle for you, Fred.
I don't want to hear it again.
Well, we've gotten some requests for it, Fred, so we better...
Well, maybe you better sing it after the program is over.
All right. It goes like this. Flavin' Pop, I don't drink slop, drink Flavin' Pop, the thinking man's drink. There you have it, Fred.
And after you have one or two drinks of that, you stop thinking.
It's all fine, pure ingredients, Fred. No BTH.
I say there's, well, I don't know, something got killed in there, or went in the bottle and it died.
There's no Monsanto in this thing anywhere, Fred. I checked. Okay, Fred. Like I say, we have a lot to talk about today, Fred. And as you might tell, I'm wearing my memorial glove. And I was out in Los Angeles recently, Fred, and you know, a lot of tourists have been hanging around the O.J. Simpson estate. And I saw this orange thing in the bushes there. So I reached in there and I pulled it out, and it appears to be a kind of a blood-stained glove. So I just brought it back with me. I don't know if it has any meaning or anything, but I just kept it as a souvenir of the O.J. Simpson estate out there.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of blood on it, but maybe a gardener had it or something and cut himself.
Looks like nail polish to me.
It's a bloody mess. Kind of dried out and unfaded. It was during the 4th of July break, Fred, when we were gone. But it fits, you know, and found it right there in the bushes, Fred.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you find. Okay, Fred, as usual on the program, Fred the True Stafford, we asked you what happened.
I don't know what happened.
What happened on this date?
Sorry, I can't.
So I'm going to ask you, what happened on this date?
I don't know.
All right. I'll give you a clue. The year, 1913.
1913.
July 17th.
July 17th, was that when they passed the unconstitutional income tax?
No, that was the year that a good old friend of yours, probably watching, he usually does, an old Republican war horse. It's too bad he's in the wrong party, but his name is Gordy Still, and he was born on this date in July 17th, 1913. I know you know him, Fred. He's
well,
an old friend of yours.
He couldn't help that.
He was born on this date, and we just want to say happy birthday to Gordy Still. 81 years old today, or yesterday, Fred. Right. 81. Right. And in the, what do they say, in the pink of health, or whatever they call it. Okay, so we'll get that one out of the way now, Fred. I'm going to give you an easier one here before we get going. This one happened 1969, Fred, July 18th. This
July 18th?
This has to do with the Kennedy clan.
Is that when Bobby Kennedy got killed?
1969, Fred, July 18th.
Bobby Kennedy?
1969, Fred.
Right.
Bobby Kennedy was already in the grave.
He was.
1968.
Well,
somebody exhumed him.
Teddy Kennedy is still living.
That's right. You're getting closer.
I mean, Jackie Onassis married Ari?
No, Fred. Why do you think we call you Fred Mr. True Stafford?
Well, I'm trying to think there, but...
Senator Edward Kennedy lost control of his automobile and fell off the
Oh.
Chappaquiddick Bridge, killing Mary Jo Kopechne. This event became a national scandal, in all probability costing Senator Kennedy any chance of ever being elected president. Do you concur with that?
Well, I think that's right.
All right, Fred. I'm going to go to you, and you got a story there.
Yes. I think something that's rather interesting I received in the mail today, Focus on the Family magazine, Dr. James Dobson, and it says, the best part of dinner, more tasty than baked chicken and mashed potatoes, a generous helping of conversation. And every member of the family that can participate should eat dinner together. It's something that is beneficial for family relationships.
So where'd you find that at?
Right in the magazine.
That's the best you can do?
Well, what more do you want? You don't want me to read the whole thing.
Well, what does it mean, though?
Well, it means that families have a chance to react to one another, listening to what happened to the family, the children, wife, the husband, what happened during the day.
All right. So how much time is spent?
There's very little time, as you know, in today's families are spent together, and that's one opportunity the whole family has to get together and eat. And sometimes, because of ball games and sports and whatnot, all members of the family may not be able to be there.
Yes, it's terrible, Fred, what they've done to the family. Okay, Fred, I got one here. You know, we've been seeing all this stuff about Jupiter,
Yes.
and I guess a monster of a collision took place today. Big plume came out of this most recent one, but there's some, excuse me, but there's something even bigger than that looming. Largest form in the universe ever found.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how big this thing is, Fred. It's the largest known structure in the universe. It's a cocoon-like collection of galaxies. Made up of 27,000 galaxies, Fred, and it has a radius of roughly 290 million light years. And this thing was just found recently, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
It dwarfs the Milky Way, Fred. It's the largest thing ever found in the universe. And a light year is the distance light travels in a year at the speed of 186,000 miles per second. We're talking about this thing having a radius of 290 million light years. So it's got a vast distance from one end to the other, Fred. I'm sure we could never travel from one end to the other of that thing. If you take 180,000 miles per second times 290 million light years, you got a lot of footage there. But this is an amazing piece of discovery here, Fred, and the Milky Way, containing 1 billion stars, is like a grain of sugar in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
1 grain of sugar compared to what this new thing is. A vast new universe out there. Fred. It just goes to show you, God really created something out there.
Yes.
Almost unlimited. Probably is unlimited. We don't know for sure. It's kind of a very exciting subject to talk about. Okay, Fred. So there you have it. The largest form
Yes.
in the universe is found.
Right.
So let's go now to something of excitement
Yeah.
and enjoyment.
Do you know that Babyface Nichols, on a bus ride to her school in Boston last December, 7-year-old Amber Nichols took a pink, transparent, 3-inch long water pistol from her book bag and showed it to schoolmates. 2 days later, she was suspended by school officials and ordered to undergo psychological evaluation at a counseling center for students who bring weapons to school. Kind of crazy, isn't it? A
It
water
sure is.
pistol.
Somebody shot him?
No, it wasn't even loaded. In other words, it had no water in it.
Okay, Fred.
That's going a little too far, I think.
I know it is. Today, Fred, Today's date is actually July 18th, but tomorrow, on this date in 1984, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
About 1:30 in the afternoon. 10 years ago today.
"10 years ago today."
That's right.
And it's July 18th, 1984.
10 years ago tomorrow, excuse me.
Tomorrow. That'll be the 19th.
That's right. It was,
I'm sorry I can't answer that.
well, it was just like yesterday, 1:30 in the afternoon, 10 years ago.
Yeah?
All right, I'll give you a clue. It has something to do with Walter Mondale
Walter Mondale was
and a presidential
defeated.
year.
Defeated in the, no.
Well, he was getting ready to run against
Yes,
the
he was nominated.
President Reagan at the time, but he nominated Geraldine Ferraro
Mm-hmm.
for the vice presidency, the first woman to be nominated for that office by a major party. It took till 1984 for one of the big two to nominate
Yeah,
a woman for
that-
either vice president.
That
or
was,
president.
she come from my native borough of Queens in New York. I certainly would not support her.
Why?
Well, I'm not sure that she's a Christian.
Yeah.
Doesn't know right from wrong, I don't think, because anybody who doesn't know that killing babies that you conceive is murder, and that is wrong, I know she's supportive of that.
Okay, Fred, we got a new sponsor on the show. We don't have any photographs
Yeah.
yet, but it's the Maxwell Parachute Company.
Yeah, that's good till the last drop, I know, and you better hope that it isn't the last drop.
Maxwell Parachute, good to the last drop. It's a brand new company, Fred.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if it's good till after the last drop or before. We haven't discussed that with the company yet. But
Yeah.
their logo is good till the last drop.
Yes.
So we'll have to find out about that because they won't sell too many if it's not good till after the last drop.
Right.
Okay, Fred. Now, I know you said you had plenty of stuff to talk about today,
Yes.
so let's get it rolled
I
out
see
here.
the United Nations Disarmament Commission recently approved a working paper proposing tighter gun controls for U.S. and other nations. I don't know what the United Nations, what business they have of interfering with our government and our laws here. We don't need their help.
Yeah. So that's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's from the New American Magazine, published in,
So what's that mean in today's terms?
well, in other words, it's a gun control measure. If they keep at us, we won't be able to defend ourselves. And you know, I had a mother-in-law some years back in 1967 who living in Chicago on South Elizabeth Street, and twice she was robbed when she wasn't home, but the last time they came she was. And the only chance she had of saving herself was with a gun. Unfortunately, she didn't have one. And they hit her over the head with a sledgehammer after knocking her door in.
Yeah?
And that she was found 36 hours later having suffered a stroke as a result of that belt on the head.
You know, Fred, removing guns, you could get rid of every gun in this country, and we still have a murder problem.
Sure.
And
People that use knives, clubs,
a prime
hammers,
example of
and they
that.
use a sledgehammer to hit her.
Prime example of that, Fred, is what's happening in Rwanda for the last 3 months now.
Well, you know,
Machetes, clubs, sticks, hammers, whatever they can get a hold of. 500,000 men, women, children
South Africa
slaughtered.
sold a number of guns to Rwanda.
But a lot of them were just murdered, just like a drunken wave of men just would move through a village and just wipe everything out with machetes, everything that was moving.
Yes.
And very few guns involved there, Fred. Now the two military sides are fighting, but in the beginning it was just a bloodbath there. Okay, Fred, I think we've got a few calls coming in here, so we're going to see how the phones are working today and take a call here. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, Fred, can you
Yes.
know that old fishermen never. Do you like fishing?
What?
Do you like to go fishing?
No.
Why not?
Well, I lost my taste for fishing a long time ago.
Oh.
I was out with my father on a hot sunny day, and we were out all day, and he didn't want to go home. We were out until nightfall, and I got one heck of a sunburn, and we never caught any fish.
Oh.
That's it, Fred. Huh?
Yeah.
Chuck, like to go fishing?
Yeah, I've done a lot of fishing. I've caught carp. See, I've caught carp probably that long.
I was gonna say.
They were so big they went right off the screen.
Yeah.
And I've caught caught pretty good sized northerns up in northern Minnesota, and I've never caught a muskie yet though. But I like to catch sunfish. Sometimes you
You
can.
know what? I don't. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause I know this little saying they say, old fishermen never die, their rods just go limp.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Fred. I guess that was directed towards you since they asked you that question. But anyway, so you never did really get into fishing then, just because of that one incident,
Well,
one sunburn, and that was it.
oh, I got one heck of a sunburn, I'm telling you. And I had a shirt on. I still and all got sunburn. I had a shirt on and undershirt. And I got sunburned through both.
Okay, we're
You
gonna
got
try.
another one. You got another one there too.
Where?
The 1 and 2, he said. You-
Oh, okay, okay. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, you got the man,
Who?
the common man.
Oh, okay. Hello, Mr. Common. Of course.
Howdy, Randy.
Hi. How you doing, Fred?
Good.
Now you're changing names on me. First it was, we got to where we had enough of a discussion going that we could call him Common, and then we got it down to first names or last names. We just called him Man. Now
Yeah.
you got Randy thrown in
I think,
there.
that, I think, well, that's my real, Randy's my real name, of course. But,
Okay.
oh, actually, I was trying to get in last week and I couldn't get in. I was going to talk about your little announcement here,
Yeah.
but I guess it's now official, of course.
How you like this glove I found?
Looks kind of interesting. You know, that's another thing I was going to ask about. I guess we accidentally got cut off there. What do you think about O.J. Simpson? You think he did it?
I don't know. You think this glove has anything to do with it?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, I've been checking out a little bit of that there on the TV, and kind of looks a little bad.
Well, we can't try people in the press like that. This case here, O.J. Simpson, is known all over the world. He's not as well known as Muhammad Ali, but he's a well-known personality, and he still has the right to be.
Well, they made a
innocent
they made a
until
search
proven guilty.
out of the thing, I know, but
Yeah.
you know,
Where could he go now to get a fair trial?
maybe, like I say, they made a circus out of the thing, but it does kind of look kind of bad, and his lawyer hasn't really come up with anything to show anything different. But I was gonna. The only thing is, but back to your little announcement here. Kind of interesting because, of course, I've made it pretty clear that I'm no longer on Gunnarson's side. I don't know if you remember, I tore up tore up the old yard sign of his on my show.
He did.
And yeah, that was about a couple, 2-3 months ago or whatever.
That's pretty drastic.
Well, I had to make a statement on him, what I thought of him, and that was it.
Oh.
Anyway, what happened? Anyway, the thing of it is, though, there's a little bit of a connection between me and Don Brill. His mother-in-law is a longtime good friend of my mother. So the only thing the thing of it is, if he wins, if he somehow or another outdoes Gunderson in the primary, then I've got a little bit of a tough decision between you and him. But if Gunderson wins, then it makes wins the nomination Republican. Then I got as they say, an easy decision.
Well, it'll be a 4-way race after the primary. Gunderson's going up head-to-head against Brill in the primary. I've got a free ride, and the independent has a free ride, and then there's four Democrats duking it out.
Yeah, well, none of them interest me too much.
So after the primary, it'll be down to 4 people, and it'll be a little more of a crystal clear picture then.
It'll be interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the most candidates he's ever had against him, and I think his left-wing stance that he took here not too long ago, I think is what kind of loused him up. I'm still amazed that he even got in one more time after that.
Now, did you say you had a question for Fred Stump the Star Stafford?
Well, let's see. Let's try. We've been trying all these things from a few years back. Let's try. What is it here? July 20, I believe it is, of '69.
Of 69?
Yep.
July 20th, 1969, Fred.
Well, that was the day before July 21st.
That's right.
Well, unless I'm mistaken, that's the big first step on the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it was part of John F. Kennedy's dream, and he wanted it done before 1970, and it was done.
You know, I think it's interesting when you mentioned that. You were talking earlier about Ted Kennedy and the Chappaquiddick. I sometimes wonder if maybe that kind of got snowed under because there was so much hoopla over the moon landing that the newsboys just kind of let it slide by. You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the Kennedy family spent a lot of money to have that kept under wraps.
I always kind of thought so too. That maybe they even paid off the family and everything. I thought that was pretty bad, really.
Well, as a matter of fact, on that date, Neil Armstrong said some famous words, Fred, and here 25 years later, we're still hearing them ring out. That is one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. And that was the whole beginning of the technological breakthroughs and the computer. Everything just went through the roof. Technology just went crazy, and now it's jumping by leaps and bounds. But that effort to get a man on the moon is what is just basically propelling us into the 21st century in the area of electronics and communications. Because I mean, those guys were standing on the moon, talking back to us here on Earth.
Yeah.
It was an amazing feat.
Right.
I remember the whole thing was just kind of fun to watch on TV too. Really, even though back then I had black and white TV to look at, it was still fun to look at.
It was one of those major events that pretty much everybody in the world that had a TV set tried to get a look at.
Yeah, it was a pretty big thing.
Well, Common, we want to thank you for calling in. When's your next show? You might as well throw in a commercial.
Oh, where are we here? It's the second showing for this one. Okay, it's July the 21st at 6:30. That's not bad of a show, but I'll tell you, I made it during that couple of weeks ago when we had all that heat and humidity. So it seemed like I was about 75% there a little bit when I was doing the show, but I did my best.
Uh-huh.
That's probably going to be a hot show then.
It was hot, I guess.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for calling in, Common, and we'll tune in to your show on the 21st,
Okay.
6:30. Okay, thanks a lot. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, Fred. That one was one of the ones I was going to try and stump you with. That 25 years ago on Wednesday, that happened. So what do you got there? A little quickie there
All right,
before we
here.
take another call.
Brady bill fails court test. And on May 16th, Judge Charles Lovell of the U.S. District Court for Montana struck down the Brady Bill law's requirement that local law enforcement authorities conduct background checks on prospective gun purchases. Lovell ruled that the federally imposed checks would force state and local officials to increase budgets or cut services to comply, which in turn would erode their chances of being reelected.
So how do you
Well, I think
distill that down to?
I think the Brady Bill was ill-advised. Should never have been passed.
Well, in our state, it really didn't make much difference, did it? We already had the pretty strong laws in effect
Yeah.
already. And it was amazing. A lot of gun dealers in this state said that it wouldn't really affect people in this.
True.
I think what's even worse, though, Fred, than the Brady bill is this bill is going to make dealers, whether they're going to boost it up to like $1,000 a year or $500 a year for a dealer's license.
Well, what they ought to do is change that and tax those who are going to run for public office. Tax them $1,000 a year for a license to run.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you're broke, though, where are you going to get the $1,000?
Well, then they shouldn't run.
Huh. Well, we'll take a call here and see what they think about that. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, this is addressed to Fred. I was wondering, why does everyone ask you all those dates and you can never answer the questions about them?
I don't know.
I got one for you, though.
Well, I hope I can answer it.
Okay, it's May 10th, 1994.
What's that?
May 10th, 1994. It was a little over 2 months ago.
A little over 2 months ago.
2 months and 8 days,
I
roughly.
can't recall.
That's the day that Jared Onenheim got butt packed.
Something about Jim Butkus, the guy that's doing those commercials. The old football player from the Chicago Bears.
Yeah?
Doing commercials now where he sells little grills that
Yeah.
you wrap wads of paper up and you throw in there and
Yeah?
light them on fire and it cooks a hamburger in 8 minutes. He was trying to do commercials. It's a good thing we cut him off because we don't do outside commercials on this show, Fred.
Yeah.
Even though Dick Butkus he was a defensive man. Remember him in the
Yes,
middle there? He was an
right.
animal.
Right, he was a good ball player.
Animal out there. I think he's got his own TV show too.
Well,
He
that's
used to
good.
have one. Okay, Fred. I had something here, and it's about immigration, Fred, and it's from the magazine called American Demographics. And there's 17 states where immigration or migration really affects 17 states in this country. 6 of them are because of immigration from abroad. So you'd think it'd be all border states, but it's not. California, New York, Texas, New Jersey, Illinois, and Massachusetts. That's the top 6 states for immigration.
But California is a border state.
Yeah, I know, but Illinois is not,
No. Well, it is too.
in a way, I guess.
It
But we own
borders,
all-
it borders on Wisconsin and Indiana.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
See what you're saying. Okay, we had a call on one, I think, Brother. We better take that. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that glove for? Is that like OJ's?
Well, I thought I was out there, a lot of tourists, and everybody's going out there to see the mansion and walk the steps and get the maps and everything. Well, I was walking along the shrubs there and looked in there and saw that something yellow with red on it and reached in there and found that glove. I don't know if it has any meaning or not. I just kept it as a souvenir.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got, my name's Conjorlio, and I need TP for my bunghole.
Yeah.
Yeah. GPX sucks.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Fred. So anyway, immigration does affect different states in differing degrees, like Texas, and I thought, Florida has a high internal migration, but according to Lawton Childs down there, the immigration problem is really acute down in Florida and California. Of course, Texas is a major crossing area because it's so wide, such a border with Mexico, that they have a definite problem down there. Okay, Fred, I know that you've got plenty of information today, so let's keep things rolling
Yes.
and get another short and sweet one there.
All right. The job drain. That's the primary finding of a major study commissioned by the Family Research Council on the economic impact of health reform. FRC study conducted by the independent CONSAD Research Corporation is the first full-scale economic survey to examine the family impact of employee mandates. The study results were released in the Washington media June the 14th, and the report showed that their employee mandates, the element in several reform proposals, would require employees to pay up to 80% of the health care premiums of their employees, which would result in the loss of an estimated 850,000 jobs
From the new,
from the new health care plan.
the more they look at that thing, Fred, the worse it gets. It gets more mired down in red tape, and everyone's got a new study, and I think people are just going to get tired of hearing about it. They're going to say, let's have something. We're getting sick of listening to this. There's pros and cons. Well, let's try something. Once they try something.
This bill, which is about 1,300 pages, only some pages of it deal with health care. The rest of it is finding people who buy private insurance, and it imposes a bureaucracy which would be in control of 17% of our economy. And we don't need it. That's socialized medicine. It didn't work in Canada, it hasn't worked in England, and in a number of other nations that have it. People come from Canada here to get health care. They go down to the Mayo Clinic or they go to Abbott Northwest. And I've met people up in the cities who have come from Canada and said they didn't want to wait.
Yeah,
They wanted their health care now, not 6 months from now.
I've heard horror stories about people dying on waiting lists, but we got waiting lists in this country for transplants and things too.
Right.
But it's a big boondoggle, Fred, and I think a lot of the House and Congress now, they're starting to scatter away from it because they're getting so mired in the different pros and cons of it, they're afraid it's going to affect their reelection.
Well,
But I
they
think
better think about it, because we're the ones who are going to have to pay for it, and who's going to pay more for less? And that's what's going to happen. I don't know about you, but I have health insurance, hospitalization, and I'm satisfied with my plan. I don't want anything that the government is going to give me.
well, we'll see if this caller wants to talk about it. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
I'd like to say that I like the show, but except for like people like Randy, like I that like call up and take like 10 minutes while they're talking.
Yeah,
And I'd like to ask, what is that bottle that you always have on your desk?
this one?
Yeah.
This is Flavin Pop from the Flavin, the Wonderful World of Flavin makes this. It's they're local distributors here in the Chippewa Valley from the Flavin family that came over from the old country many, many years ago, even before Fred.
Is it good?
Yes, it's got all natural ingredients and there's no BGH in it at all.
And Fred, you butt that cows?
What's that?
You fuck cows?
Okay, Fred, we'll take another caller. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, that glove looks pretty bloody. Is it your time of the month?
this here?
Yeah, is it your time of the month?
Yeah, I found this out in California on my recent vacation out there. And, you know, I was just laying there and it looked like a pretty nice glove. It might need to be washed or something. It's got some red stuff on it. It looks like blood. We haven't had it analyzed, but Fred's got a private laboratory, and we'll see if we can get that analyzed, see what's on there. Okay, Fred. Some consumer groups are growing much faster than the population as a whole. It's amazing out there
Yes.
where the consumers are at, and that's an important thing to know for small businesses and for the capitalistic system, Fred, to know where the consumers are at and what their makeup is. And the biggest new consumer group is the home health aides, and right after that is the Asians.
Mm-hmm.
The two giant consumer groups that are coming on. Then, surprisingly, right below that is travel agents. They do a lot of consuming. And then below that's Hispanics. And a new group now is custodial fathers. If you can think of something to sell to those 5 groups, you can start a business. Home health aides, Asians, travel agents, Hispanics, and custodial fathers. Another large segment of the population, Fred, is people aged 45 to 64. It's kind of the group that's right before the baby boomers. So keep that in mind when you're starting a business. And we'll take another caller. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
What's that dot on the cow?
Where at?
It's on the front of the cow. It's a little dot.
Oh, it's some kind of bug.
Does it have, like, bees or something, or worms?
Well, cows just have, birds and bugs crawl on cows. All they've got is their tail and their head to try and get that stuff off there. And if it's just kind of in between those two places, they can't get it off.
I think you should have Bartles and James on your desk instead of that dot.
Well, we'll look into that. I don't even know if they're still in production.
All right.
We'll check that out.
Okay.
If you have a question for Fred today.
Yeah, why does it take so long to get that health care bill through?
Well,
Good question. Thanks a lot, caller.
Because it probably isn't one that the people want.
It's amazing, Fred. The more people find out about it, the less they like. It's just one of them things that's just been getting talked to death. And, of course, the Clintons were inflexible on it to begin with. They wanted all or nothing, and they found out once they got out there that they weren't going to get that because this country's made up of compromising, and so they're going to compromise away a lot of it to get something, Fred. But you know what the old saying is, something, half a loaf is better than no loaf at all, so they're going to start somewhere, but once they get it embedded in there, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. That's the way government is.
Right.
So take a caller. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
I'm telling you right now.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, Fred. Your thoughts and concerns on the O.J. Simpson case?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, what are your, Fred, what are your thoughts and concerns on the O.J. Simpson case?
Well,
thanks a lot, caller.
I think that O.J. Simpson deserves a fair trial. And I don't know whether he's guilty or not. He may well be. But I hope he gets a fair trial.
Yep, he's has that right too, Fred.
Because I kind of liked O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, he was in some pretty good movies.
I liked when he played football. That's
Good
what I
football
remember
player.
him.
You know, I
And
think
he did a
once-
good job of.
Did him and Jack Kemp play at the same time?
Yeah, around the same time.
Buffalo
yes.
Bills, weren't they on the
Yes,
same
with the
team?
Buffalo Bills, they were on the same team.
It was quite a combination. I don't think they ever produced a championship, but that was a potent combination there.
Good. Both of them terrific ball players.
Well, on the other hand, Fred, there's two people laying in the graves, a young man and a young woman.
Right, and I don't know who did it. I don't know if he did it. It has yet to be proven. And to be very frank with you, it doesn't look too good for O.J.
Yeah, I think he's probably fighting for his life. If the truth would be known, I imagine they're threatening him with the death penalty because it is a double murder, and he could very well qualify for that in California. But you would probably see major rioting out there, just like in the famous police beating case. If O.J. Simpson got the death penalty, you'd probably see some rioting in the Los Angeles area.
I think that two wrongs don't make a right, and somebody killed Nicole and that man, and somebody should be punished for that if they find the guilty person, no matter who it is. And I don't care if it's O.J. or isn't O.J. If he is the one that is found guilty, then he has to pay the price. And I don't think that anybody has should be out there rioting as a result if that is a fair trial.
That's right. But that's not the way things go, Fred. People get whipped up to a frenzy, and they lose control of their senses, and it's happened throughout history, Fred. We've seen it in Ireland. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in the South during before the civil rights era and during the civil rights era. Gang mentality, and we've seen rioting all over the country for less things than that. Just over somebody thinking that somebody else had raped their sister or something. Somebody ends up getting hanged.
That's unjust. Mob mentality is not justice.
Yeah.
It's injustice.
But we saw over just what happened in California. Almost 60 people died during that thing because the troops were outgunned by the gangs out there, and it got out of hand.
A lot of people didn't have guns out there, and those that did were able to keep their property intact. Especially
That's right.
The Koreans there. Some of the Koreans had guns, and they were able to save their property.
That's right. Okay, we're going to take a call. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I didn't think convicted felons could run for Congress. How do you feel about that?
Well, we'll ask Fred. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, all depends on what you were convicted of. And,
Well, Fred, the United States Constitution does not deal with that issue. That's it. So that's all there is to it. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah,
Isn't it wonderful to live in America, Fred?
Yes.
This one's addressed to Fred. And, Fred, are your hands down your pants right now?
What's that?
Said, did you iron your pants before the show?
No, I didn't.
Why don't you stand up and show them those? Those are pretty colorful, Fred. I know you're always color coordinated on the show, and everything you're wearing is color coordinated, down even to the shoes. It's amazing.
Right.
That's the way things used to be done in this country, Fred. Everything was color coordinated. What happened?
I don't know.
Okay, Fred. We're going to try one more call here, or go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah. Talk.
Yes. You might have to turn down your TV there a little bit.
Oh, okay. Where have you been putting your bloody hand or your bloody glove?
Are you on that that nitrogen stuff? That stuff they put in
Yeah.
in balloons?
I'm like high.
Sounds like that stuff. You know how people's voices get funny when they. What is that called, Fred? Nitrogen or oxygen or
Nitrogen?
whatever that stuff is. Stuff that makes balloons go up in the air. Hydrogen?
Oh, helium.
Helium. Yeah, that makes their voice sound funny. That's what that person sounded like there. Okay, Fred. We got another. It's time for a quiz, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be an easy one. July 21st, 1873, 12:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
July 21st, 1873.
12:01 Eastern Standard Time. 121 years ago.
I don't know.
What do you mean? It was after the Civil War. These ought to be easy for you.
1873.
Almost
Oh,
10
I
years
don't know.
after the Civil War.
I know it wasn't the end of the Civil War.
No. It has to do with two brothers.
Two brothers that flew the Kitty Hawk.
Well, actually, it had to do with brothers, not two brothers.
Oh, Smith brothers.
No.
They made the first cough drop.
Their name was the James Gang.
James gang.
Jesse and Frank James
Mm-hmm.
commit the first of many train robberies, Fred. They were kind of the modern train robbers. And, of course, they ended up having a bloody end to their lives later on. Or one of them did.
Yes.
And one more easy one, Fred, before we take another phone call. July 18th, 1947. Now, that's easy. About 9:30 in the morning,
July 18th, 1947.
Central Standard Time,
Central Standard Time.
out east.
Out east. Mm-hmm.
Presidential Succession Act goes into effect. This act defines clear succession for the president in the case of loss of both the president and the vice president, Fred.
Yes.
I think this had to do with, well, wasn't this after Truman was almost murdered by a group of Puerto Rican
Might have been.
extremists? And
Might have been.
they were worried about losing both president and vice president at the same time. A newly important consideration in the days of city-destroying nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They claimed it was over nuclear weapons. Okay, let's try a call here. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, why was it that the Army wouldn't accept you for the Vietnam War, and why should I vote for you if you're an ex-drug dealer?
Okay, well, thank you very much. Not everybody has to go to the military. I had three brothers that served in the Navy, and I know one of them was in Vietnam. I can't remember so far back about the other one back in the middle 60s. And my father was in the Navy, too, but I don't think everybody has to serve in the military. The present incumbent who's in that I'm running against, he's not a veteran, so that's null and void. The president of the United States is not a veteran. It's not a qualifying thing, and you'll just have to listen to the issues down through the campaign. It's a long campaign. It goes from now till November 8th, and you can just stay tuned because about 5 till 3. You can hear what happened over at United We Stand America, Fred, at the
Citizens Fair.
big Citizens Fair yesterday, and there was plenty of politicians over there, Fred, 20 or 30 of them. Some weren't there, but some were, like Koala and Koala, I guess it is, how it's pronounced, and plenty of others. But anyway, at 5 till there today, I got a little film of some of the things I stand for, and you're just going to have to hang in there and listen to all the candidates and then decide who to vote for. I'm not going to twist any arms. So, Fred, you got something there
Sure.
hot off the presses that you wanted to read, so go ahead.
U.S. West changes policy on religious symbols. Bowing to public pressure, the publishing unit of U.S. West reversed its policy made in December requiring that ads for housing-related services to be free of all religious symbols. New restrictions dictate that advertisers include a phrase such as all faiths welcome without preference when advertisers insert religious symbols in their ads.
So what's that going to do?
Well, that people sometimes advertise in those publications looking for business, and they want to let people know they're Christian.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for Christians.
Okay.
Religious banners are okay at the Cincinnati ball games. Once again, they can be displayed in the Cincinnati Stadium. That was null and void for a time. They weren't allowed. John 3:16 banners can be displayed at the Riverfront Stadium,
Well, you know,
following a recent court decision.
you see those at baseball games and football games, always in the end zone. It's a good shot of the end zone there, so somebody will usually have a John 3:16 banner right there in the end zone for the cameras at a lot of NFL games.
Yeah, here's another one. Professor censured for creation theory. Professor Dean Kenyon's intelligent design theory of the origins of human beings has been censured by his colleagues at San Francisco State University. A 27-5 vote of the biology faculty in February declared that the senior department members' theory unworthy because there's no scientific evidence to support that concept.
Okay, Fred, I got one here quick, and then we're going to take some more phone calls. Back a couple years ago, the city council, I lived in the district where Don Overman was our city councilman.
Yes.
And he introduced a bill for me and on the city council for curfew. We were having a problem with a lot of kids up in that area during that summer, just hanging around till 3, 4, 5 in the morning sometimes. And so Don saw that happening in his neighborhood too, so he helped me introduce a curfew bill, but it was voted down. But now the Supreme Court extends the use of government employees as parents. It upholds a Dallas curfew that forces anyone younger than 17 to be off the streets before 11 p.m. weekdays and midnight weekends. More than 1,000 cities, including Los Angeles, Detroit, Atlanta, already have curfews. As a result of the decision, predicts Dallas attorney Bruce Morrow, who appealed the case to the Supreme Court, every major city in this federal circuit is going to have a curfew. So it's kind of picking up steam, Fred, because a lot of the crime and the graffiti and stuff is done by...
you need it in crime prevalent areas especially.
Well, we had all kinds of exceptions, Fred, for people coming and going from events that were late, but the council at that time didn't see fit to do it. Maybe they'll change their mind now that the Supreme Court says that it's okay to do it. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
I like to say that Fred is cool.
Who is?
Fred.
Fred?
He's my idol.
All right, did you have a question for him?
Where does he get his clothes?
Where does he get his clothes? Well, thank you very much. We'll ask that question. Fred, where do you get those clothes? They're all color-coded.
Various stores here, all in the Eau Claire area.
Uh-huh. But they are, you're always precise on that coordination of them, you know. Even when you wear plaids and stripes, they still coordinate the colors. You have to in this day and age, Fred. There's a lot of different styles out there.
I know my wife sometimes advises me that wouldn't look good and this does, etc. So she's got a good sense of color coordination.
Yep. All right, Fred, we'll try another call here. That was a very important call. Go ahead, caller, you're on here.
Yeah, I got two things to say. First of all, in reference to your show, well, it must have been about 2 months ago, where you had all those gays and lesbians marching in the street.
We did, right here in the studio?
Not, you had it on film.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if you could show that again.
Well, we'll see if we can. I think Fred showed it on his program after that. Didn't you, Fred, a couple
Yes.
months ago? You got a show coming up again?
Yes, I got one coming up on Tuesday the 26th, but we're not going to have that on, unfortunately. We have to get permission to show that, and I don't know whether we could get the permission to show it.
Well, you have the rights under the Constitution to show it, Fred. It's
All
not-
right, and the second thing is,
Yeah.
I remember you had a show about, you were cutting on the adult book and novelty in cinema
Yes.
around the Eau Claire area.
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, I happened to delivering some mail at the post office, and I looked across and I thought I saw you walk in one.
You did. Well, you're 2 houses down because there's a coin shop, and I go over there quite a bit, and there's also a little shop right next to it's going to be my campaign office, so that's where you saw me coming out of.
Oh,
I go in there quite a bit. It's
okay.
Chippewa Valley Coin, and it's right straight
Really
across from mine.
confused me, I mean,
Yeah, well,
knowing you're so against it.
well, don't get too confused because you're wrong there. You didn't have your glasses on because I wasn't in there.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Fred, are you bald?
No?
Show him that head of hair, Fred. You got a big head of hair there. He's got plenty. He's got more hair on the back of his head.
Fred, you look like a fucking beast.
Another fine example, Fred,
Yes.
of what our public education school has done for the English language in this area.
Mm-hmm.
$6,000+ per student, and that's
Yes.
what you get for the English language. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Okay, what's on your glove on your hand?
Where?
What's you got a glove on your hand?
Well, I found this out in California in front of OJ's house, and I just kind of liked it. It's colorful, got some red stuff on it. It's just kind of a souvenir I found out there. I don't know if it has any meaning or not to the case.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
bye. All right, Fred. Been another exciting show here. So what do you got there for a shorty before we take another
Black
call?
conservative student threatened. A reporter for the student newspaper of the University of California was forced to resign and is under police protection after receiving death threats for his conservative political views. That is the height of intolerance.
It
And
sure is.
people talk about tolerance. Why are they intolerant of people who have views different than they?
Clarence Thomas. Look what they did to him.
He was a 22-year-old Mark Hardy, a 22-year-old senior political science student, says he's afraid to walk at night on the campus after being threatened by other students.
Political correctness knows no color barriers, Fred.
Yes.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Fred?
Yes.
What's that there plant behind you?
What behind me?
Yeah, that plant?
Yeah.
What kind is that?
I think it's a weed,
A weed?
especially grown here in the studio of Public Access Cable 11.
Oh, you know what, Fred?
Mm-hmm.
You're such a nice guy.
Thank you.
You and my grandma should get together sometime.
Okay.
Okay, see you later.
Bye now.
Unfortunately, Fred, you're married.
I know.
Happily married.
Yes.
You know, it's taken 10 years to grow that tree to that size, Fred. These
Right.
fluorescent lights have just kind of stunted the growth.
No.
All right, well, we're going to take one more call, and then we better get going here. We got a 5-minute film, and it's 5 till. Let's make it short. Go ahead, caller.
I can't do it.
Okay, let's run that film, and then we'll just come back and say goodbye. Hopefully.
Race is different, I think, in terms of having Republicans, Democrats, Independents. We also have a U.S. taxpayer party candidate in the 3rd District. Chuck Lee will be on next.
She's running an audience page through a newspaper right there.
Yeah. Is that
Well, I'm not going to beat around the bush about terms, and this is one of the main things that we need to deal with.
sometimes
My opponent, the incumbent, just recently, in the last few days, printed out 294,000 brochures at government expense and then mail them into the district. If I had to do that, it would cost me between $60,000 and $100,000, depends on how much I want to spend on printing. But the postage cost and the printing cost is paid by you out there, whether you agree with them or not. It's a propaganda piece. They say it's him telling about what he did in Congress, but actually it's a campaign piece. So, for term limits, you got to keep it down to 8 years. That way, you can blast them out of there, whether you want to or not. They've got to go. If you don't like them, it's too bad. The president only gets 8 years. Why not the Congress only 8? Now, we're getting ready to invade a little tin pot dictatorship down there in Haiti. We're going to send American boys and girls down there to be slaughtered. And once, maybe we'll only lose 15, 20, maybe 100 people, but that's 100 people too many, because once you get in there, then you have to defend that country against guerrilla warfare. Now, our president stood with his arms folded and watched 500,000 Rwandans slaughtered. Babies, men, women, old people. If he's so worried about black people dying, why didn't he lift a finger to help over there? Okay, another one of my strong issues is the family farmer. It's almost an extinct name in this country. The family farmer is under a tremendous amount of pressure. So to help alleviate the pressure he's under, I'm going to introduce a bill in 1995 called the Family Farm Preservation Act of 1995. We've been guarding Europe and Japan for 50 years against who knows what enemies. We're spending billions over there. We're sending billions all around the world. Let's take some of that foreign aid and turn it into domestic aid to help the farmers that are just barely getting by. Just the other day I talked to a farmer and I said, this NAFTA thing is really going to hurt you. I said, how can you compete against a farmer in Mexico who's making 20 cents an hour? He says, he's making more than I am. The only reason I'm staying on my farm is because we raise our own vegetables. So the family farmer is really hurting. To go along with that, we want to create incentives to tobacco farmers across the country to help convert them to other cash crops that are less poisonous to the American people. And coupled with that is the BPH program. The incumbent, Steve Gunderson, has taken at least $1,000 from Monsanto to help force that stuff down your throat, right in this state.
Okay, the 3 minutes of speech are up. We're now ready for some questions.
I'm going to propose the same question on the American people's rights to train their own children in education from K-4 all the way to the 12th grade.
Okay, I got one of my planks, and it's vouchers and tax breaks for schooling. Homeschoolers, public, private, and religious schools should be able to divvy up that money. It's one big pot of money. Why give it to one group called the public school system and let everyone else have to pay twice? You're paying the first time around when you're paying taxes into the system where you have kids or not through your real estate tax. And then you got to pay again if you have kids and you want to send them to a private school. So why not divvy up that money fairly? It's not going to hurt teachers. It's going to create new opportunities. Because thousands of new schools are going to blossom all over the country, and the bad schools are going to die on the vine like they should be, because they're bad to begin with. I think that's it. One other thing, Gordy Sill, where are you at out there? Gordy Sill.
Okay, that's it. Well, we got to go, Fred. We're right up against the hour.
Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you next week right here on the Cow Report. It's been your host, Chuck Lee. Good afternoon. Think I ought to take this back to Los Angeles, Fred? Maybe it's evidence or something.